Midjourney has just released the 1.0 version of their video model. They've been teasing it for a while, and let me tell you, the wait has been worth it. And the best part is, this is Midjourney's 1.0 release, which means they're probably already working on the next iteration of this model. And for a 1.0 release, it's a pretty darn good one, especially considering that this model is available to users on the most basic $10 plan, which is a far cry from the launches of the other state-of-the-art AI video models like VO3 and OpenAI Sora, which both launched at incredibly high prices. Having said that, Midjourney have said that they will be monitoring consumption, and depending on how much demand there is for the model and how much server supply they have, prices might go up. So take advantage of the basic tier while it's still available. The way usage works is the same way that it always works with Midjourney, where depending on the tier that you subscribe to, you get given a certain number of fast hours. Fast hours is the amount of time that you can use for image or video generation that puts you at the front of the generation queue. Once you've used up those fast hours, if your tier allows you to have what's called relax mode, you can still queue up generations, but it'll just go at the back of the line and your generation will be done whenever there's GPU time available. That can mean that if you put stuff into the relaxed queue, it can take quite a bit of while for the generation to come through, meaning that a generation can take hours if you're trying to do it during peak times. Now, for images, you get the relax mode in the standard $30 plan. However, for video, Relax is only available on the Pro $60 plan. The basic plan, however, gives you up to 3.3 fast hours, which isn't actually a lot considering that a single video generation can take up to a minute to get done. However, it's enough if you want to mess around with the model, try things out, but if you're planning to get serious with AI video on Midjourney, I strongly suggest you pick one of the higher tiers. With that in mind, let's have a look at some of the videos coming out of Midjourney and how we can start to create them ourselves. Now, Midjourney's video feature is exclusively image to video only. That means that you have to use your prompt to first create an image and then turn that into a video. Fortunately, Midjourney has made it very easy, but it's also very simple. If you've been messing around with AI video on many of the open source models, you might find the parameters and options available to you to be very limited. However, Midjourney has made up for that by producing a model that gives very good quality videos and pretty good prompt adherence most of the time. To get started with AI video, everything starts by adding in an image up here. It's not actually very obvious how you can get started with video, but if you come up here to add images, you'll see a starting frame option over here. Here on the right, you'll see previous images that you have uploaded, and Midjourney Video does allow you to animate anything that you've generated previously on Midjourney, or you can upload your own image. However, Midjourney does have a disclaimer to use this responsibly, so if you're doing something that you know you shouldn't within Midjourney's guidelines, there is a good chance you might get caught in that. So you can grab any one of the images that you've uploaded prior, or you can drag a new one up here, or you can scroll through all of your previous generations on Midjourney. Let's find one that we like. And by the way, if you want to know how to create amazing images like these, consider checking out Prompt Crafters. Prompt Crafters is a curated prompt database that's compiled and organized hundreds of prompts for you to browse. Prompts are organized by category and usage, meaning that if you want to find something specific, let's say in product advertising, product design, architecture, animation, and so on, it can easily be found on Prompt Crafters. There's even a section that lists up a whole bunch of different artist references that different AI models use to help give you inspiration or a starting point to create the perfect image. I do also know that they are planning to add a video module very soon, and the platform is undergoing a site redesign as they currently use Airtable to showcase all of the different prompts, but it's been having a few issues, so they're moving on to a brand new user interface. If you're interested, check out the link down in the description below for an exclusive discount. So if we scroll through these images, I quite like this one over here. If you just click the animate button down here, the image will automatically go into generation. However, by doing that, you're letting Midjourney choose the few basic parameters that we have. Let's go in and have a look at what are some of the options that we've got. Once you've got the image selected, you'll see the animate image section down here. And your options are pretty simple. There's auto and manual. For auto, we can pick low motion and high motion, and what that does is it reuses the existing prompt of the image, and it will either try and animate it with low motion or with high motion. We're gonna grab one of each, and then manual allows you to do exactly the same thing, but allows you to change the prompt. So if we grab low motion here, it will put in the image prompt that we had originally used. And we're actually going to delete everything. And we're just going to put in camera doesn't move, wind blows, causing the woman's kimono to flutter as the giant fox speaks. Okay, so this is a decently complex prompt. We're not referring to much in the image, and we have multiple items that are looking for movement. So we're telling the camera not to move. We are trying to see if we can get that kimono to flutter a bit in the wind, and we want our giant fox to talk. We're doing that with low motion, I think. Let's try it. Let's check it out. Yeah. So we've got here. So if we click over here on the settings, we can have a look at the same parameters that we've got down below. Motion is set to low. My only speed option is set to fast since I'm on the basic tier. I don't have access to relaxed mode. But if you did want to put a particular generation on relaxed mode, you're not in a rush, you're happy to even get it later today or tomorrow, just go ahead and put it on relax. I've only got access to fast, so I'm going to do that. We're going to put that in here, and then we're going to try the exact same prompt again with high motion. Let's see what happens when we try a high motion style prompt where we don't want the camera to move, but we want elements within the image to move. Camera doesn't move, wind blows, causing the kimono to flutter, the giant fox speaks. And let's try it out. As you start queuing things up, you will see the create queue start to add up. However, when I clicked the animate button on the main page earlier, I didn't see it queue up there, so it wasn't very obvious that things were queuing, but it does. Okay, so now that we've got the first set of images done, let's have a look at them. And I can already see from the preview that it did not follow the prompt that well. Okay, so let's have a look at the animations. So the first set are just the ones where we clicked the animate button. No prompting done on our end. It's just the description of the image. Now, a really cool feature is when you mouse over one of the images, it will animate all 4 versions in that generation set. So Midjourney generates in sets of 4. So we can see here that in the low motion, there's a bit of subtle camera movement. There's a bit of fighting happening here with the character. You know, this girl looks like she starts fighting with this guy. However, all of them have a bit of weirdness. Let's start looking at them one by one. So this first one over here, the camera kind of pans in. She turns around and looks at us and then kind of twirls around as this guy looks to attack her. This second one is a little weird. She takes out 2 swords, which then turns into a staff and then tries to fight with the guy. Here, she kind of duplicates herself. And then over here is probably the best one, but there's still a little bit of weirdness. She gets into a fighting pose, but then morphs while this guy comes and tackles her. So the animate didn't really work that well. If we do it with high motion, we see a lot more movement coming from our giant fox over here, right? She kind of steps back, her head and turns around. So, you know, the model seems to be struggling when there's a lot of elements in the frame, right? We've got the guy now running here, running around. Looks like she's fighting someone behind the camera. So the animations look cool, but at least clicking the animate button didn't really generate any useful results. Now we've got the versions where we went in and prompted something specific. So this is the low motion version where we say the camera doesn't move, the wind blows, and the giant fox speaks. So the first 2, again, have that weirdness where the lady turns around. Maybe we need to specify that she stays looking at the fox. The fox does look like it's speaking, so that's good, but we still do have camera movement even though we told it not to. The second 2 look like they're a little bit better. Probably the fourth one is the closest thing to what I wanted, where we've got the wind blowing, she's looking at the fox, and the fox looks like it's speaking. So we did get a 1 out of 4 success rate with the little caveat that we have a little bit too much wind here, but I guess it did follow it. The finish is really good, so I really like the way that the cloth kind of flutters, but not a great result so far. If we make it high motion, let's have a look what happens. And actually on high motion, ironically, it looks like we actually got a much closer result. The first 2 frames, there's no camera movement, we've got the wind fluttering, and we've got the fox looking like he's talking to our character here, giving it that surreal vibe. I would have liked to have seen the crowds move a little bit. You kind of see a little bit of movement here, but I'll give it a pass. So far though, results are kind of mixed. I did, however, pick a difficult image intentionally. If we look at some other videos that I've tried to generate, here's a Game of Thrones style one, and the result is a lot better. Again, I just clicked the animate button, no specific prompting over here, and this does look a lot more natural, where it kind of figured out that we had this dragon coming, this woman was looking over this perch, and the dragon kind of hovers there at her, right? Here's, again, another iteration of the same thing. This was a fun little image I had of a chicken dancing, wearing a hat with bananas, and it did a pretty good job of following through with that. It's a fun little image. So in this particular scenario where I was just doing something for fun, it did a pretty decent job. The model works really well with, people. We can see here where, again, I had this image where I'm just describing this character, and it's kind of got this cool slow motion vibe where she kind of looks away and then looks back at the camera. I don't have any weirdness here, and honestly, this actually looks like something that would come out of a real camera. So for this particular one, absolutely great results. This one over here is a bit more of a fantasy cinematic style, and this is one thing I do have to say about the Midjourney model is, unlike other models like WAN and whatnot, there's a certain aesthetic that Midjourney just manages to capture in their AI models. Over here, again, I just clicked the animate button. We described a action scene earlier, and actually the image does contain some camera movement. So if we see here, in a sudden burst of motion, the camera jerks as the warrior lunges forward. And I'm just realizing that Midjourney is actually putting in motion prompts based on whether you put motion low or motion high, because these were not there. You see here that Midjourney have actually added in that the camera jerks as the warrior lunges forward, swinging your weapon directly into the frame, triggering a violent impact against the lens accompanied by intense screen shake. So Midjourney is actually looking at the image, analyzing it, and figuring out a movement prompt to put in here. And it's actually a pretty good prompt. So if we look here at the motion, right, this first one does have a bit of weirdness happening here where the hand goes in different directions. The second one does a bit of a better job where we see him swinging towards the camera and then running towards other knights. This one kind of looks like he's just drunk. And here, again, it looks like he's just injured and staggering forward. We're going to play around with these a little bit later. Again, these are just images that I've animated. In this particular one, it looks like Midjourney didn't actually edit the prompt. As I remember that this is the original one, a red car driving in an empty lane, drawing shot at night. And these ones are actually pretty cool. I really like this one. And this is something that the Midjourney model is very powerful at. We've seen here that some of the action shots, the model really struggles in holding together that character cohesion. But in simple animations, like for example, getting a character to turn her head, or having a basic dance done, or kind of having these basic camera movement shots, it performs relatively well. We can see here how it kind of pans over. The only one that's a little bit of weirdness is this one, as it kind of seems to be moving in reverse. I did try also a animation one, and this one at least gave it kind of a mixed result. You can definitely see a bit of struggle here with the hair, which other models seem to do a lot better. I do like that it's kind of given it this stop motion vibe, the way that the Spider-Man movie kind of has that stop motion look. So I do kind of like that. There could definitely be some fun to be had with this. This character looks like she's getting stressed out for an exam. I like here how the hearts kind of, pop out. Here's kind of a bit more of a anime Studio Ghibli vibe, where, the model just kind of took the girls and they're kind of just walking off into the sunset. A bit of weirdness here, but these two look really good. And then here is just one of my AI character, Lydia, kind of talking to the camera. And this kind of looks like it's a bit of an ad or a product shot. And I will be experimenting with this later, because I think you can take this and take it over to Kaiju Gen, my own image and video generation platform. And I've got a lip sync module I'm actually adding in this weekend. And we're going to try out and see if we can actually take these Midjourney videos and actually lip sync audio over it. Because I think the energy that the characters had while talking is one of the best I've seen from the AI video models. And I'd love to see if we can incorporate a voice into this. Now, one really cool feature that Midjourney has is initial generations of the videos are just 5 seconds long. But we can actually go out and extend them. And we have two options here again. Extend auto, which works just like the auto feature before. It will try and extend the video by another 5 seconds, taking care of any automatic prompting if necessary. Or you can extend manual and actually try and direct the model towards what you want the next 5 seconds to be. So you can keep directing every 5 seconds and control the generation up to 21 seconds. We're going to try and extend this one manually over here. And we're just going to add in that the dragon blows out fire, decimating the city below it. You can see here, we've got the videos, and I do want to add how incredibly fast this is. This is definitely one of the fastest generation to output models at the level of quality that we're getting. So props to Midjourney where it's due. They've done a phenomenal job at creating such a high quality model that generates so quickly. So we've got here now, this video should be 10 seconds long. There's no way, 9 seconds long, so extended it for 4 seconds. And we can see here now how the camera kind of pans in and she's kind of doing a bit more movement. Unfortunately, because I guess I didn't direct it and I just let the automatic kind of happen, the last 4 seconds kind of get a little bit weird. Probably this is the most usable one over here as she's kind of like stressing out and she's kind of talking. So maybe she's talking to herself or some imaginary character. It'll be fun to see if we can make some short animations out of this. Up here, we've got our manual one. I don't remember clicking it twice, but let's see if it actually followed my prompt and the dragon blows out that fire. And we got it over here, but that is a really bad fire and it doesn't really decimate the city. I was kind of hoping for more of a Game of Thrones vibe here. Okay, and we've got the second set over here. So we've got the first 5 seconds where it's hovering around and it blows out the fire. The fire does look a little bit better in this second set of videos, a little bit less like cheap VFX, but I'm still not getting the city being decimated beneath it in that Game of Thrones vibe. So other people have said that it's pretty good at following prompt adherence. I haven't seen that in today's experiment. The model also does struggle with action. There are better open source models that are handling that type of action nowadays. However, for simple image animations, small movements, subtle movements, characters talking and so on, it does excel very well. If you are a serious AI video creator, I think exclusively using Midjourney is not going to be enough. There are some strengths of this model and I will be exploring it further. I will try and put out a prompting guide as soon as I can. However, you're typically going to want to use Midjourney in conjunction with other AI video models. I did mention it earlier. If you do want to try out other AI video models, please do check out my AI image and video generation platform. Midjourney, I have a whole bunch of AI image and video generation models there set up so that you can use them extremely easily without a subscription. Thanks so much. I hope you guys found this video helpful. If you did, please like and subscribe. It really helps the channel out. And if you really want to support the channel, please do consider supporting me on Patreon or using my AI generation platform, Hydrogen. Finally, if you've been creating stuff on Midjourney or any other AI generation platform, please do come by our Discord and share it. We'd love to see the stuff that you're creating, and we're trying to put out more stuff so that it can act as an inspiration for all of you guys. Thanks so much, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.